My father's lake had been in our family for decades. It sat behind an old wooden fence at the edge of our property, surrounded by trees, farmland, and a narrow dirt road. To me, it wasn't just a lake. It was part of my family's history. My father used to take me there when I was a kid. We would fish from the old wooden dock, repair the fence, and spend entire summer afternoons beside the water. After he passed away, the property became mine. For years, everything was peaceful. Then one morning, I found an HOA truck parked beside my lake. Two workers were standing near the shoreline, and behind them was the HOA president, Karen. She walked toward me holding a folder. She didn't say hello. Instead, she said, "You need to understand that this lake belongs to the association." I thought she was joking. I asked her to show me the document proving that. She opened the folder and pointed to an old subdivision map. According to Karen, the lake was part of the community's original recreational property. I looked at the map. There was one problem. My property deed clearly showed the lake was inside my boundaries. I told Karen that the deed was a controlling document. She smiled and said, "Your father may have misunderstood what he owned." That sentence changed everything. I contacted a property attorney and asked him to review the records. He found something interesting. The lake had existed before the HOA was even created, and the original property record showed something even more important. The lake's shoreline had changed dramatically over the decades. There had been two major water levels. One was the original high water level. The other was a lower level created after an old drainage system was installed. That difference mattered a lot. My attorney explained that the HOA's map appeared to use a newer shoreline as a reference point, but my deed and the historical survey used the original property boundaries. So we decided to compare everything. Old surveys, new surveys, aerial photographs, property deeds, historical maps, and photographs taken by my father decades earlier. Then came the moment that changed the entire dispute. We measured the lake at both water levels. At the lower level, the HOA's map made it look like part of the shoreline could belong to the association. But when the lake reached its historical high water level, the evidence showed something completely different. The entire disputed section fell inside my family's recorded property boundary. Karen had been relying on a map that didn't tell the whole story. We took the evidence to the county records office. The surveyor compared the historical documents with a modern map. After several hours, he confirmed what my attorney had suspected. The HOA did not own the lake. They never had. Their map simply created the appearance that they did. Karen refused to accept it. She claimed the HOA had maintained the lake for years. But maintaining something doesn't automatically make you the owner. My father had paid the property taxes. He had maintained the dock. He had repaired the shoreline. And most importantly, his deed placed the lake within our property boundaries. The HOA board finally called an emergency meeting. Karen brought copies of the HOA map. I brought the original deed, historical survey, photographs, and the two water level analysis. The room became completely silent as the surveyor explained the difference. He showed everyone the lower waterline. Then he showed the historical high water boundary. The disputed land moved from looking like HOA property to clearly falling within mine. One board member finally asked Karen, "Why were we told the lake belonged to us?" Karen had no answer. The board voted to stop claiming ownership. They removed the lake from their property map, and they sent me a written notice acknowledging that the lake was not HOA property. A few weeks later, I repaired my father's old dock. I stood there at sunset, looking across the water. For the first time in years, the lake felt peaceful again. I remembered something my father once told me. Always keep your paperwork. Memories can fade, but records don't. He was right. The HOA had a map. I had the history. And when the water level changed, the truth became impossible to hide. If you enjoyed this HOA story, like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from.